Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm going to be shoutcasting an insane climb up to rank 1 in the world on the Go Battle League leaderboards, running a very unique Open Ultra League team. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Darkest David, so many thanks for the battle submission. And as of today, as we see here, David is ranked number 1 in the world, and the team he ran, Tapu Koko lead, Shadow Dragonite, Shadow Alolan Ninetales. So a very unbalanced team, but one that worked extremely well for him, and we're going to be showcasing the run to get to 2658 Elo. Hopping into the first match, leading Tapu Koko into Tentacruel. This is a battle of super effective damage on both sides. The Tentacruel makes the Scald when Tapu Koko makes the Thunderbolt, so throwing first means this is only an Acid Spray. Acid Spray is going to be no-shielded by the Tapu Koko, built up to the Thunderbolt, baiting with the Nature's Madness. Nature's Madness gets the shield, opponent is now debuffed. The Tentacruel is able to farm down, but in comes Dragonite. Dragonite can withstand an Acid Spray, that's not going to be a problem, as the opponent will fire off the Acid Spray to get a debuff. The opponent is going to stay in here. They're going to get fully farmed down by the Dragonite. Opponent sends in Steelix. We see an immediate switch out into the Charm Alolan Ninetales. Ninetales, these charms are of course going to be resisted by that Steel subtyping, but the opponent's Dragon Tails are going to be double resisted by the Ninetales. Ninetales continues to farm. Still 2 shields in play, letting this through. Opponent is going to go for the Psychic Fangs, and that's not going to do a whole lot of damage. They're now going to send in Virizion, understanding that Virizion has nowhere to run and basically no value against this backline. Shielding up the Sacred Sword, Ninetales farming up and going for the Weather Ball, winning charge attack priority. Weather Ball will easily pick up the knockout. The opponent is going to let that through. In comes the Steelix. Steelix going to go for another Psychic Fangs. Psychic Fangs not going to be a concern to the Ninetales. Ninetales will go for another Weather Ball. Opponent has to save the shield for the loaded superpower. They are unable to shield here, but in comes the Dragonite, and Dragonite should be able to make 2 charge attacks, so the opponent still having the shield is really not going to be able to save them, as Dragonite is able to get the double up. Dragon Claw number 1, Steelix commits the shield, and going for Dragon Claw number 2. So bit of a rough lead there leading into the Tentacruel and the Steelix in the back, but still able to get the win. Moving into the next match, leading Tapu Koko into Annihilate. Pretty decent matchup for the Tapu Koko, although Annihilate can hit back hard in this matchup. Annihilate throws after 7 counters. This is not enough for the Shadow Ball. This is only going to be the Ice Punch. Easy no shield for the Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko goes for the Nature's Madness, but the opponent able to save that Annihilate for later and make a nice catch the Nature's Madness onto the Registeel. Tapu Koko choosing to stay in this matchup and now go for the Thunderbolt. The opponent's Registeel has been debuffed by the Nature's Madness, so Thunderbolt is going to do quite a lot of damage. Tapu Koko continuing to farm. Registeel firing off energy. We're now going to see a shield from the Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko shielding up the Zap Cannon, looking for the Volt Switch farm down, and gets the Volt Switch farm down, exiting with quite a lot of energy. In the back, the opponent has Ampharos. Ampharos will be hit with the Nature's Madness. Nature's Madness is going to be no-shielded. In comes the Charm Alolan Ninetales, gets the snipe of the Ampharos. There's nowhere for Annihilate to run, and the opponent concedes the match. Speaking of Ampharos, we see it on the lead from the opponent in the next match. I'm very surprised they're not running the Shadow Ampharos. Best guess is they just don't have a good Shadow, as in running it, I definitely do prefer the Shadow. And they're actually running Thunder Punch as well. Very interesting moveset choices from the opponent. We see so much overfarm here by the Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko able to withstand that Thunder Punch, and now at the back-to-back Nature's Madness. Going for Nature's Madness, number 1, that's going to be no-shielded by the opponent. The switch into the Shadow Dragonite, and getting the snipe. Opponent sends in Mandibuzz, and I mean, this is honestly the best alignment on this team that they could have asked for with the Mandibuzz, as Mandibuzz would get crushed by either Tapu Koko or the Charm Alolan Ninetales. Dragon Claw is able to connect. Mandibuzz firing off energy. We see the shield from the Dragonite, and that proves to be a wise one, as the Dark Pulse would do quite a lot of damage. Dragonite now going for the harder hitting superpower. Does the opponent elect to commit a shield? They do not. Dragonite can't quite get the farm down as the opponent switches out on 1 HP, and they send in Poliwrath. But Poliwrath is really not going to like what is there to greet it. In comes the Charm Alolan Ninetales, and the opponent concedes the match. Picking up a pretty nice lead in the next match, Tapu Koko versus Charizard. As long as shields are in play, this is very, very nice for the Tapu Koko. Opponent does have the pacing advantage, reaching a Blast Burn before the Thunderbolt. The opponent baits with a Dragon Claw. Tapu Koko does end up shielding the bait, is going to return fire with the Nature's Madness. Nature's Madness gets no shielded, but the opponent is only going to be able to make a Dragon Claw. This is double resisted. This is a very comfortable no shield for the Tapu Koko, as Tapu Koko exits with energy. In comes Shadow Swampert. Tapu Koko going for the Nature's Madness. This will do massive damage unless the opponent shields, and just like that, we're back to shield parity. The opponent is forced to throw energy, and now you can just align the Shadow Dragonite to the Shadow Swampert, and Shadow Dragonite does incredibly well there. In comes the Shadow Dragonite. Opponent can go for the Hydro, but that's not a problem for Dragonite whatsoever. Hydro Cannon is going to connect. In the back, it is going to be Shadow Feraligatr. Shadow Feraligatr will be met with a Shadow Dragon Claw from the Dragonite. Dragon Claw into Feraligatr, does get shielded. We now see the switch into the Charm Alolan Ninetales. Ninetales, I think at this point, if you want to, you can honestly just shield nothing on the Ninetales and win the game with the Dragonite if you so desire. The opponent is not at the back-to-back here. They're close, but they're not quite there, so we are going to see a no shield of the Ninetales, the farm down with the Dragonite. Back in comes the Swampert, but the Swampert, I mean, there's just no possible way to win this game. They need 2 Hydro Cannons, and they do not have nearly enough energy to get there. The Hydro Cannon is going to be shielded. Shadow Dragonite makes it to the Dragon Claw, and Dragon Claw into that Shadow Swampert is going to be able to pick up the win. Moving to the next match, leading Tapu Koko into a Shadow Gliscor. Okay, bit of an uncomfortable matchup since the Volt Switches are going to be resisted, but Tapu Koko does have a pacing advantage. That's the nice thing about being an electric type going up against Gliscor, is Gliscor's pacing to Earthquake. Earthquake takes a very long time to get to, so you're pretty okay to get some damage. We see a bait call here, and it's the Night Slash bait, able to successfully call the bait. Tapu Koko now with a decision to make, choosing to no shield again. The Gliscor keeps baiting. In comes the Dragonite, saving the energy on the Tapu Koko and getting the snipe with the Dragonite. Dragonite is up energy. Opponent sends in a Poliwrath, so they really do not have a good response to the Dragonite. Dragonite continuing to farm, will be hit with the Icy Wind. Looked like wanted to hit the Dragon Claw there to play for charge attack priority, but unfortunately it didn't quite register. Dragonite massively over farming, going for the superpower. This time it is going to be on charge attack priority. The superpower into the Poliwrath is going to be shielded. Dragonite still has energy, but is already heavily debuffed, choosing to let the Dragonite go, and now you can just send in the Alolan Ninetales. In comes the Shadow Feraligatr for the opponent. Shadow Feraligatr is now going to be hit with a resisted Weather Ball. But if they no shield the Weather Ball, they're probably getting farmed down. But if they shield it, guess what? They're getting combo played with the Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko going for the Nature's Madness. Get that Feraligatr out of here. In comes the Poliwrath, and the opponent resigns the match. We see the Dream lead in the next match. Tapu Koko into Shadow Dragonite. Dragonite is going to save switch out of here into Tentacruel. Tapu Koko going to stay in, build up to the Thunderbolt, and again go for the Nature's Madness. Thunderbolt is incredibly threatening, as it would just KO. The opponent forced a shield, and now they're debuffed, they're down a shield, and in comes Shadow Dragonite. Dragonite will respect the potential Blizzard. It is just going to be the Scald from the opponent, so Dragonite should just be able to fully farm down, as a Scald, not really something that Shadow Dragonite has to be concerned with. It is going to be the Scald. Dragonite is going to get a very nice farm down, and the opponent is not going to have an amazing time if they bring in their own Dragonite. So they're going to send in Lantern. Dragonite, I believe, built up to the Dragon Claw plus the Superpower. Dragon Claw is going to be shielded, and now getting to land that Superpower. Superpower is going to do incrementally more damage here onto the Lantern. Lantern is going to get farmed down. In comes the Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko in a prime position in this matchup, shielding up the Surf, and the opponent is in a really tough spot because they have that Dragonite in the back, and they still don't even know about the Shadow Charm Alolan Ninetales. Nature's Madness is going to mean goodbye to the fish. In comes the Dragonite. Can Dragonite even make a move? No, it cannot. It turns out the Ninetales won't even be needed. It just gets to take the game off as Tapu Koko takes down the Lantern and the Dragonite to sweep the endgame. A familiar lead returns in the next match, Tapu Koko versus Tentacruel. Again, this is a bit of an uncomfortable matchup. Tenta does make it to the Scald at the same time that the Tapu Koko makes it to the Thunderbolt. The Nature's Madness bait will almost always get the shield and of course come with its patented guaranteed defense drop. The Scald is going to pick up the knockout. In comes the Dragonite. Opponent is going to pivot into a Giratina. We're now going to see the banking of a ton of energy on that Dragonite, and in comes the Charm Alolan Ninetales. Ninetales taking super effective damage from the Ancient Power. And oh my goodness, they're able to make it to another one. Ninetales is going to be shielding up the Ancient Power and getting the farm down. This Ninetales is running Psyshock, and Psyshock can threaten that Tentacruel quite a bit. So in comes the Tentacruel. Ninetales going for the Psyshock. Is the opponent willing to shield in this matchup? Yes, they are. And they're going to get a full farm down of the Ninetales. This is all up to Dragonite to try and clutch this game. Only one shield remaining for the Dragonite, choosing to use it here as Tentacruel goes for the Scald. In the back, it's Guzzlord. Guzzlord will be met with the Superpower. Again, this does more damage than a Dragon Claw. The Superpower picks up the knockout, able to make it to the Dragon Claw, throwing it at the last possible second. This is debuffed. Is it going to be enough to KO? Yes, it is. That looked really, really tough in the mid game, but able to take it. And I believe this is the 5-0 at 2590 ELO, which will be able to get him up to the 2658. Moving into the next match, picking up a terrific lead, Tapu Koko into the Guzzlord. Guzzlord forced to stay in, so the opponent's got to be weakened back. Crunch is going to connect. Tapu Koko, very, very nice charge attack timing here, throwing 2-volt switches and the move, going for the Nature's Madness, and getting the shield from the opponent. Oh, the pause. Oh my goodness. The opponent tries for the Nature's Madness catch on a Talonflame, but the pause able to connect with the Thunderbolt. The full one-shot of the Talonflame. Oh my goodness. Back in comes the Guzzlord. Guzzlord firing off energy. Tapu Koko with the no shield. Guzzlord, Dragon Claw. Oh no, that didn't KO. And now the Nature's Madness. This should just one-shot unless they shield. Oh, that's going to be goodbye to that Guzzlord. All that's left in the back is the Charizard. In comes Shadow Dragonite. There's no winning this for the opponent, and they resign the match. Great lead for Tapu Koko in the next match as it leads into a Poliwrath. Opponent is going to save switch into a Shadow Ampharos. Tapu Koko very fine with staying in here, and they only go for a Brutal Swing. They don't build up to a potential Trailblaze, so that's a very comfortable no shield for the Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko now going to fire off the Nature's Madness. Nature's Madness does get shielded, but that only means the next one's doing more, and we see the Tapu Koko winning charge attack priority. This Nature's Madness picks up the KO. The opponent doesn't even shield that. They lose switch, and they lose a shield. And they're going to send in a Shadow Magnezone. Shadow Magnezone, so much energy as it gets the farm down, but not before a Nature's Madness is going to connect. In comes the Dragonite. They have a lot of energy here. They have the Mirror Shot plus the Wild Charge. We are going to see the shield. They Wild Charge first. Going to fire off the Mirror Shot. Mirror Shot, honestly, I mean, it wouldn't do a lot of damage, but just looking to preserve HP on the D-Knight. Back in comes the Poliwrath, sending in the Ninetales. And this is a very sad Poliwrath. It managed to dodge the Tapu Koko, but there's another fairy type in the back. They go for the Scald. Ninetales shakes off the damage. They're getting fully charmed down. In comes the Magnezone. Magnezone gets charmed down as well. And that's game over. Man, these high elo teams are just getting torn to shreds by the Tapu Koko. It now leads into a Dragonite. Opponent save switches into a Talonflame. Gonna stay in with the Tapu Koko and again go for another Nature's Madness. Thunderbolt would one-shot. Opponent shields. They're now debuffed and they're about to be debuffed again, going for another Nature's Madness. The opponent double shields. They're now 2 stages debuffed. They're firing off energy. Tapu Koko is going to elect to shield once. Can double shield if it wants to farm down here. Tapu Koko has a choice. Going to double shield, get the farm down, and exit with energy. In comes Dragonite, going for the Thunderbolt. This is only going to hit for neutral damage, but that's still going to KO. What is this Pokemon? In comes the Poliwrath. They were just triple weak to the Tapu Koko. Very casually triple weak. And there's nothing Poliwrath can do here. Oh my goodness. They go for the Scald. Alolan Ninetales does not care. Opponent is going to resign the match just before they get knocked out. Hopping into the final match, leading Tapu Koko into Shadow Alolan Sandslash. Okay, a profoundly negative lead. Sandslash beats the entire team. I'm very curious to see how he plays out of this. He is going to be committed to shield. Opponent baits with the Ice Punch, and he's going for the Nature's Madness bait. Nature's Madness into the Sandslash will be shielded. These Volt Switches adding up more and more. Opponent is going to be firing off their energy. Choosing to let the Tapu Koko go. The Ice Punch is going to KO. They're debuffed, so this can potentially set up a Charm Down for the Alolan Ninetales. Opponent is going to pivot. They're running Double Dragon in the back. They send in a Kingdra into an Alolan Ninetales. And suddenly, this game looks like it has life. They go for the Octazooka. They get fully farmed down. The opponent, they were debuffed on that Alolan Ninetales, so they wanted to switch out, but in doing so, now they're in trouble. Ninetales is going to go for the Psyshock. Psyshock will definitely add up. They're going to let that through. In comes the Shadow Dragonite. Dragonite is going to look for a one-shield farm down play. This team is triple weak to the Sandslash, and it farms down the Sandslash. In the back, it's a Dragon Breath Giratina. Giratina will be met with a Shadow Dragon Claw. This is going to hurt. Opponent commits the shield. They're looking for a full farm down, but they're going to be hit with another Dragon Claw. Shadow Dragon Claw is going to get them low. Shadow Dragonite gets the KO, and a team triple weak to Alolan Sandslash just beat Alolan Sandslash. All in all, I think this just firmly puts any discussion to rest. Tapu Koko is legit in the Open Ultra League, and after it hit rank 1 in the entire world on the Go Battle League leaderboards, I don't think anyone can make an argument to the contrary. Is Tapu Koko the easiest mon to use? I would say no. It is very, very frail. But when expertly piloted like David does in these battles, it really shows the power of Tapu Koko and the power of the new move Nature's Madness, which has really unlocked its potential. Now, David did run a pretty unbalanced line with ABA fairy types, but with very skillful play, he is able to work around when he does lead into poison types. So if you're wanting to try out Tapu Koko for yourself, I might recommend a bit more of a balanced team, just because David clearly has a lot of practice with the team. But overall, big congratulations to David, getting rank 1 in the world with a Pokemon that a lot of people did not give credit to, so massive congratulations. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.